Thanks for joining me here at Crossing the Line. I'm your host, Isaac King. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment down below. Now let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of Crossing the Line. I'm your host, Isaac King. Let's get straight into today's news. Protesters hold blank signs to defend free speech after anti-monarchy arrests. Protesters have been holding up blank signs during a demonstration in the defence of free speech after a number of anti-monarchists were arrested. Around a dozen people stood silently along St Giles Street in Edinburgh, only metres away from where Queen Elizabeth II's coffin was being laid to rest today. Several protesters have been told in recent days for expressing their opposition to the monarchy as King Charles III ascends to the throne. One person was led away by police for holding a paper sign reading "Not My King" outside the Palace of Westminster on Monday. Met Police later threatened to arrest the barrister under the Public Order Bill, where he were to write the same slogan on a blank piece of paper he held in Parliament Square. An anti-royalist protesters in Edinburgh said that they would not write anything on their plain paper of fear of being arrested by police patrolling the Royal Mile. It's fucking hilarious. These people have only just come out and figured out that their rights are being trodden on now, because they want to protest something. For the last 5 years, longer in the UK, their rights to freedom of speech has been destroyed. I mean, you've got Marcus Meechan, Count Dankula, who gets arrested for making a fucking joke. Who gets arrested and has to go to the High Court for making a fucking joke in England. Thousands of people a year are arrested in England and Scotland and Ireland, Wales, for saying shit online that the government doesn't agree with. It's hilarious that these people are just finding this out now. And only when it affects them. You know, it's fucking amazing. Among those in the crowd was Amber Dawn, that's a great name, 33, the University of Glasgow, PhD student, told Metro UK, she's a uni student, so that's all they do is they go to uni and protest. There's nothing else for them to do. She joined the protests for a simple reason: to control free speech for the good of the nation, or what goes into the media for the matter of fascism, not democracy. That's fucking hilarious. I guarantee you, if you ask that doughy bitch what she thinks about hate speech laws, she'll be like, I'm all for them. I'm all for them. And, you ask them what they think about being able to say, no, I don't want to get the vaccine. I'll be all for it. Look at them. They're all wearing fucking masks. Fucking idiot children. Wake the fuck up. It's been years since this has started going on, and you're only finding out about it now when it starts to encroach on something you don't like. Whether you believe we should abolish the monarchy or whether Scotland should remain in the UK, I think we can all agree peaceful protests and free speech are worth standing up for. For now, that's what you're saying. I guarantee you, if someone came out there and said that men are men and women are women, and there's no such thing as a trans person, they'd be all willing for them to be shut down and shut up and banned and demonetized or whatever they want. They don't want them speaking what they don't agree with. The demonstration was organised by a group of friends who stood outside until 2 p.m, an hour before the monarch's cortege was due to be flown to London, Miss Dawn said. These fucking stupid children. Miss Dawn said she joined the group after a woman was arrested in Edinburgh for holding up a sign saying "fuck imperialism, abolish monarchy" on Sunday. I'm not disagreeing with anything they're doing. I'm just, where were you for the last 5 years? You guys were the ones fucking protesting hate speech laws and shit like that. You want people to be censored and shut up. You don't want freedom of speech. You only want it for yourselves. You only want it for your groupthink. She held the sign during the accession proclamation of the king before the police pulled her away. And then another man was arrested for asking who elected him at the country proclamation ceremony. And you don't get elected, obviously. They're just finding their 5 minutes of fame now. Look at this little... Let's see if we can zoom in on this. Look at this kid. Wow. What a fucking fashion statement he is. Jesus Christ. The The day after, a man was arrested for shouting, "Andrew, you're a sick old man," at the Prince as he walked behind the Queen's coffin being driven in through Edinburgh. Now, I agree with that kid. Why aren't they asking all these questions about Prince Andrew and Epstein and all those cases? Because they don't want to know. They don't want to know the answer, even though everyone fucking already does. I think we're not living in a democracy when you can't make a peaceful protest without fear of being arrested, Miss Dawn added. She's not alone in this. Civil liberty groups have raised the alarm over what they see as the over-aggressive response for the police to Republican protesters. The right to protest is one protected by the European Convention of Human Rights, which the government has long seesawed over staying in. Jody Beck, Policy and Campaigns Officer at the human rights group Liberty, said, protest is not a gift from the state, it is a fundamental right. Being able to choose what, how, and when we protest is a vital part of the healthy functioning democracy. But I guarantee they didn't stand up and say that you're allowed to protest about shit during COVID unless it was Black Lives Matter. Anything else, if you're protesting anti-lockdown, they didn't back you up then. It's very worrying to see that police enforcing their broad powers in such a heavy-handed and punitive way to clamp down on free speech and expression, Ms. Beck said, pointed to the government's police crime and sentencing bill, the draconian public order bill, as among the reasons why this is happening. Yes, and people like you, people like these kids, are the university kids here. These are the ones that pushed for that shit to go in. And now it's come and bit them in the ass. They're upset about it. Well, I'm sorry, fucking kids. It's too late. It's too fucking late. You let the ball roll downhill and you were along behind it, kicking it down to go faster and faster. People like these fucking stupid climate activists and kids like this, look at them. They're wearing a fucking mask at this time. Grow up. You've been sleeping for the last 5 years and now you want all the fucking freedom of speech for yourselves, but anyone who doesn't agree with what you want, shut them down, ban them. People like fucking Marcus Meechan, not allowed to make a joke. Joe Lycett was questioned by the police for making a joke the other week. You know, no one's safe anymore, and England's the worst place for it. America has freedom of speech laws. Australia, we have nothing of the sort. It's astounding that these kids think that they're going to be the protesters for, and you know, fucking banner wavers for freedom of speech now after they just spent years, people like them, they're protesting for the exact opposite. Wake up, and I'm going to be smiling when these kids get arrested, because this is the world they built. This is the world they wanted. This is the world they tweeted about and carried on about, trying to get people banned off the internet for saying things they don't like. This is what they wanted, and now you've got to live with it. So we've got a hilarious story coming at timcast.com. Governor J.B. Pritzker orders an emergency declaration following arrival of illegal immigrants from Texas. Mayor Lori Lightfoot and Texas Governor Greg Abbott have been exchanging barred comments for the last month. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker has issued an emergency disaster proclamation to allow the state to use government resources to manage the influx of illegal immigrants that were sent to the state from Texas. So if you don't know, Texas sent a busload of 50 people to the very rich, the very white, the very wealthy Martha's Vineyard, which is where people like Obama are building their houses, and very wealthy demographic. And I don't know if you noticed, but they don't seem to like poor people there. So they're chucking the shits about Texas governor sending their immigrants there, because Texas has immigrants bussed in there by Democrats by the thousands. They're sending all these illegal immigrants into Texas to pretty much run Texas into the ground because they don't agree with what they're doing. And so now they've done it back to them. They've given them some back. The order activates the Illinois National Guard and permits the Illinois Emergency Management Agency to work the state and local agencies to provide the migrants with transport, emergency shelter and housing, food, health screenings, medical assessments, treatments, and other services. Today, I signed a disaster proclamation allowing the state to speed up the procurement of immediate resources needed to help Chicago, Cook County, and other jurisdictions provide humanitarian assistance to the asylum seekers who are being sent to our state with no official advance notice by the governor of Texas, said Governor J.P. Pritzker in his September 14th announcement. Let me be clear. While other states may be treating these vulnerable families as pawns, here in Illinois we are treating them as people. What did you do to them? You shipped them off to a military base? Oh, that's treating them as people. You could have put him up in Obama's place. He's got 7 rooms and no, they've got 12 rooms and 7 bathrooms or some shit like that in his mansion. According to the governor's office, many of the illegal immigrants require treatment for malnourishment, dehydration, asthma in children, as well as a foot injury and wound care. They are also in need of mental health assessments and care to begin to recover from the traumas experienced on their journey. And according to the state from Pritzker's office, Texas Governor Greg Abbott has been busing people who illegally cross the U.S.-Mexico border to major cities, including Washington, New York, and New York City, to demonstrate the impact of illegal immigration on small Texas border communities. He added Chicago to the list of his destinations. President Biden's inaction at the southern border continues putting the lives of Texans and Americans at risk. It's overwhelming our communities, Abbott said, per Fox News. To continue providing much needed relief to our small overrun border towns, Chicago will join fellow sanctuary cities, Washington, D.C. and New York City as an additional drop-off location. Mayor Lightfoot, who was some gremlin-looking ugly old bitch with a fish head, Mayor Lightfoot loves to tout the responsibility of her city to welcome all regardless of legal status. And I look forward to seeing the responsibility in action as these migrants receive resources from the sanctuary city with the capacity to serve them, which is great because Chicago's just decided that they're going to have a purge and pretty much legalize murder, kidnapping, and all sorts of shit. We'll see how that goes at the start of next year, shall we? Approximately 500 migrants arrived in Chicago since Abbott made his announcement. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot attacked Abbott for sending migrants to a city as un-American and racist. Of course she does. At the press conference September 4, she said Abbott was manufacturing a human crisis. He professes to be a Christian, Lightfoot said. This is not Christianity, this and the teaching of the Bibles that I know. Subsequently, reports emerged that at least 100 migrants that arrived in Chicago have been bused to nearby suburbs with no notice from Lightfoot or other officials. Mayors from Elk Grove Village and Burr Ridge notified the government's officials in the development on September 9th and September 10th. So much of Chicago's welcoming city ordinance, these Democrats' elites are absolute hypocrites, and now their hypocrisy is on full display for the entire nation, Renee is Abbott's press secretary in a statement to Fox News Digital on September 14th. The Governor Pritzker and Mayor Lightfoot have been complaining about a few hundred migrants being pushed into a self-declared sanctuary city in Chicago and then turn around and dump them in the suburbs for Republican mayors to deal with. Instead of complaining about fulfilling their welcoming city promises, these Democrat hypocrites should call on President Biden to do his job and secure the border, something the president continues failing to do, she added. Lightfoot said that she applauded Governor Pritzker and the team for putting a declaration of state emergency in place, which will bolster the city's efforts to ensure new migrants are received, provided with assistance, and importantly treated with dignity and respect. It's fucking hilarious. They get 50 migrants bus there, 50 of them, and they declare a state of emergency. I say send 1,000. Then they can all go and stay at Obama's place and stay at his place in Martha's Vineyard. They're all rich people. Why can't they give them a room? Give them a room. They're the ones signing all these orders and laws letting them into the country, not turning them around at the border, not building the wall. Let them come and live with you. What's wrong with that? You're a human person. You're a humanitarian. You're a Democrat. You love people, don't you? You love helping out the trodden and the poor. Why don't you let these people live with you? 50 people and they declare a disaster. Imagine if it was 1,000. Holy shit, would that be fucking hilarious. Rules for you and not for me. Yet again. Dictator Dan's at it again. Dan slammed for a nanny state rules in Victorian parks. Let's see what he's up to again, shall we? Daniel Andrews has been accused of trying to install a nanny state rules across his city, state and regional parks. Walkers and riders caught not using government-sanctioned trails could face heavy fines, while swimmers could be barred from some waterways without a permit. The new rules, which will affect more than 50 city and regional parks across Victoria, were outlined in the government's proposed metropolitan and regional park regulations. Changes include a fine of up to $924 for walking off a park trail. Real fucking freedom there in Victoria, eh? It's fucking astounding what this prick has been up to. Victorians conducting an intrusive research, interfering with wildlife, soil, rocks, vegetation, or visitors, or that contravenes any regulation applying to the park could be hit with a $1,472 fine. Now, if you're going around destroying the environment and fucking up shit and hurting animals and that, there's already rules and regulations and fines and shit in place for that. We have it all over the country. All over the world has things like that. Why would you need to expand on those laws? There's already fines and shit in place for doing that. Those wanting to swim in a body of water at a park will require a permit unless that water body has been clearly designated for swimming. What the fuck? I'm so glad I don't live in Victoria. Rock climbers, abseilers, hang gliders and paragliders will also need a permit unless an area has been designated for it. How are you going to fucking find them? Just go, oh, there's police down there. I'm not going to fucking land there again. Remember when COVID lockdowns were on and that guy was gliding up the beach in a parachute, warning people that the cops are coming? That was fucking awesome.
Cops are coming. Cops are coming. The police are coming.
Hello.
The police are coming up the hill.
Those wanting to fill up a chainsaw with fuel or oil could also cop an $1,840 fine. The rules, which are currently in a consultation process, are due to come into force before the upcoming November 26 election. Speaking to The Australian, a spokeswoman for the Environment Minister, Lily D'Ambrosio, said the reforms would be pursued only to preserve parks or heritage. The department is considering the submissions and will develop recommendations for the minister in coming weeks. But the opposition accused the government of failing to strike a balance between protecting parks and intruding on liberties. Dan Andrews doesn't give a fuck about anyone's liberties. He has shown his true colours at the start of COVID. The most locked down city, the most locked down state in the whole fucking world was Victoria and Melbourne. Instead, Labor takes a nanny state approach and has repeatedly taken extreme measures which lock land away from the community, James Newbury said. Conservation relies on the community being involved, invested in the future of our unique lands. It's completely fucking right. There's a lot of places that we're losing access to around Australia. Ayers Rock, we lost access to that. The Cape, we've just given that back to Indigenous members up there. And we're probably going to lose access to that. With Fraser Island, they're wanting to hand that back over to traditional landowners. We're going to lose access to our entire fucking country by people like Daniel Andrews, the Greens, activists that want to give back land to native Indigenous people, which is a complete and utter load of bullshit. Daniel Andrews is a prime example of why we are losing our own country. He is taking away what little rights we have, what little freedoms we have to even go outside. You can't even go outside and walk around the bush. In Australia, you cannot go into the outback and walk around without getting a fine now. This is going to come in on, what did you say, the 26th of November? It's insane. $924 fine for walking off a designated trail in a park. That's fucking insane. There's already laws surrounding everything. Well, you can't drive four-wheel drives up a lot of beaches anymore. You need to get permits and pay for that. You Within my lifetime, we will not be able to go to Fraser Island. That will be banned. You will not be able to go to Fraser Island, which is a huge. It's the world's largest sand island. If you look on Google Maps, it's massive. And one day soon, we will not be able to go there. One day even sooner, we won't be able to go up to the Cape. If you do four-wheel driving or caravanning, camping, anything like that, there's a lot of places you can't go in Australia without actually paying a fee to the local Indigenous people, so you can drive on their roads or go into their land that they've been given back from the government. East Arnhem Land, that area around there. You can't go on beaches, you can't fish without paying local Indigenous people for a ticket, which I'd rather give them the money than have to pay for a permit to go fishing like we do with our government. I'd rather give the local Indigenous people $60 to go fishing there than I'd rather give it to the government, you know? Like, no, I'd rather give them $100 to drive up the beach than give it to the government. But no, we're going to lose all of our rights of our land, and we can't even walk off a fucking trail in Victoria. Filling up a chainsaw. You can't fill up a chainsaw. What the fuck's to go with that? How are you going to stop people from paragliding and hang gliding over land that's not deemed a hang gliding spot? You know, I don't know about you, but I don't think they usually stay in one spot very long. It's insanity. This is the reason people have to get out and vote and change these fucking laws. Because once a law's in place, it never gets rescinded. We don't get rid of a law. We usually keep them on the books and then just pile on it. And then those laws might not affect you now, but when they go and add to those laws in 3 to 5, 10 years' time, they're going to affect you then. You might not worry about, I'm not going to walk off a trail in a park, a wildlife park. What if your dog goes for a walk and you have to go and get it in the wildlife guy, I don't know what they call them down there, the parks ranger, sees you do that? That's $1,000 out of your pocket because you walked off a trail. $1,000 because you go swimming in a place that's not designated for swimming. That's insanity. It's fucking insane. And he wants to build his nanny state in the nanny state of Victoria. Vote this bastard out. He's a fucking fool of the highest degree. He locked down his entire state and his entire fucking city. Put people in jail for protesting against his fucking mandates. Arrested them. Pepper sprayed and arrested fucking news reporters. Kicked them out of the state. He stopped people from seeing their loved ones, seeing their dying relatives, from being going to funerals and weddings and that, because he thought he was the fucking dictator. This big-eared fucking moron with no brain in his head goes and tells you that you're not allowed to go and see your fucking relative. Tells you you're not allowed to go and see your dying fucking grandmother in hospital. Tells you you're not allowed to go and see your wife give birth. Tells you you're not allowed to travel more than 5 kilometers from your fucking home because of a fucking cold. This big-eared fucking dictator motherfucker tells you you're not allowed to work for your fucking living. You're not allowed to go to work. I had a mate who lives in Melbourne. He's a builder. He was working on government contracts. It got down to the point where he had to sack all of his staff so he couldn't keep them employed. He was allowed to go to work, but only by himself, with his fucking vaccination and a mask on. How the fuck is a builder going to build anything by him fucking self in a timely fashion? It nearly destroyed him. His 2 kids grew up in lockdown. That's all they ever knew. Like, they're too young to know. But they grew up and their entire life up to this point was in lockdown. Isn't that fucking insane to you? Doesn't that, make you wonder what kind of fucking human being does this? But not only did he do it, all around the country they did it. We built fucking concentration camps, for fuck's sakes. And everyone's like, oh no, it'll never get that bad. Oh no, you will still be able to go out. No, you're not. You weren't. Now you're going to be fined for swimming in a fucking pond or a creek or a beach that isn't deemed swimmable. Because the government doesn't want you to fucking swim there. Government doesn't want you to walk off a fucking path. Do you know how fucking insane that is? Do you know how quickly that can be fucking changed and upgraded to something even worse? You're not allowed to walk into a fucking bushland. That's insanity. We live in Australia. 90% of Australia is the bush. And people like this fucking idiot keep taking away fucking people's freedoms. This fucking moron needs to be voted out. People in when it comes to the elections, I think they're next month, later on in this year, vote this fucking wanker out. Vote these people out. He is the scum of the fucking earth. He is a moron. Dictator fucking Dan. He will go down in history as a dictator. Bring on the meteor, bring on the apocalypse, bring on doomsday. We have finally gone full circle and we know it is the end of times. Teenager of Kashmir Sah, how about that? Fame heading to speak at Oxford University. The 19-year-old joins former presidents and major cultural figures at the prestigious university as a debate union guest. This is how you know American colleges and universities have gone to shit. They're getting the Kashmir Sah girl from Dr. Phil to fucking talk and debate. Oh, God. 19-year-old Brigoli, also known as Bad Barbie, has reportedly been invited to speak at the university's debate in Oxford Union sometime in November, according to TMZ. While it's unclear what Brigoli will speak about, maybe she'll talk about her OnlyFans activities about at the university, the report alludes to her visit relating to the topic of business, as Brigoli will drop some wisdom. Oh, she's going to drop some fucking wisdom for the debate union. The event will be available to stream on YouTube, TMZ noted. Oh, God. Kill us now. It would be an honour to welcome you to continue this fine tradition, said the Oxford Union president. I wonder if he's subscribed to her OnlyFans. The talk show guest turned rapper responded to TMZ's Thursday announcement by retweeting, being too long. Oh my God. 2016, Brigoli, who was 13 at the time, gained notoriety during an appearance on television personality Phil McGraw's or Dr. Phil. I didn't know his last name. It's McGraw. The episode featured Brigoli and her mother, Barbara Ann, during a segment titled, I want to give up my car-stealing, knife-wielding, twerking 13-year-old daughter who tried to frame me for a crime. I don't even know what the fuck she was on there for now, but I think we need to go back and watch that episode. McCraw interviewed the duo about the mother Ann's allegations of Brigoli's behaviour. Audience members chuckled when McGraw criticised Brigoli's language and her nonchalant, casual response to the allegations, Brigoli said. All these hoes laughing like something's funny to the audience. Catch me outside, how about that, the teen added, after her audience continued laughing. In February 2017, Brigoli returned to Dr. Phil after garnering social media fame and told McGraw that you were nothing before I came on the show. Later in 2017, she adopted the stage name Bad Barbie. And so, did she just not know how to spell Bad Barbie, or is that just for funds? And signed a record deal with Atlantic Records after her song These... I'm guessing that's how... She just doesn't know how to spell, which I'm not fucking surprised. Went viral. Brigoli was the youngest female rapper to debut on Billboard's Top 100. How the fuck did that happen? Brigoli opened an OnlyFans account 6 days after her 18th birthday. Jesus Christ. Reportedly brought her in over 1 million in the first 6 hours, according to a now deleted social media post. Page 6 reported. The OnlyFans star claimed an Instagram post she bought over 52 million. She brought in over 52 million, as part as of April 25th. Not bad for 6 hours. We broke the fuck out of the OnlyFans record, Bracoli said in the post caption. Isn't that fucking something to be proud of? Jesus Christ. On August 23, Bracoli released a video on her YouTube channel announcing she was creating a scholarship fund totaling 1.7 million with the Edu Capital entitled Bad Scholarships. She's got her own scholarship. Oh my fucking god. So you may have seen that I have made a couple of dollars in the last year, she said in reference to her OnlyFans. What people seen that they started asking me for money for school and boob jobs and stuff. But we're gonna go with the school. She has been donating money to different organisations to help kids in the teen industry. The scholarship will go towards accredited online trade and technical schools, according to Begoli. Now that's fucking nice. She's given money to schools, given some scholarships away. That's brilliant. Oh my god. I think the rapture's gone and happened and no one noticed. I don't think anyone left. I think we're all sinners, and I think, oh my God, what have we done? Where have we gotten to as a society? This is definitely not the worst thing that's ever happened, but it's getting up there. Oh, what do you think about it? Fuck. Got an entertainment story from the Daily Wire. The Woman King falsely paints female warriors slave traders as abolitionists. Even leftist critics admit it. So, The Woman King is a new movie coming out. That's it there. You can go and watch the trailer on YouTube. The Woman King is already earning rave reviews from most critics, but even some left-wing outlets are being forced to admit that the writers completely rewrote history by painting the Agoji warrior women as abolitionists. The historical drama's depiction calls it the remarkable story of Agoli, an all-female unit of warriors who protected the African kingdom of Dahomey in the 1800s. While skills and fierceness unlike anything the world has ever seen, it goes on to say it's inspired by true events, depicts the General Nansiska, played by Viola Davis, as she trains the next generations of recruits and readies them for battle against an enemy determined to destroy their way of life. Well, those women, apparently, in real life, they were slave traders. That was their job, demoting Amazons of warriors. Amazon warriors, they were slave traders. They traded other black people for slaves. I bet you that's not in the fucking movie. The movie which premiered Friday currently has a 96% critic rating and a 99% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes. However, among the glowing praise of the true story of female empowerment, there are some mainstream outlets admitting that the parts of the story are not accurate. No fucking shit. It's true that the Kingdom of Dahomey women stepped outside their typical social roles to serve as warriors. The film could have also solely focused on the truth that remained mostly accurate. However, Nansiska is portrayed as anti-slavery, when in reality, the Agoji warriors had no more moral qualms about enslaving neighbouring tribes and profiting from the African slave trade. This practice continued until the British Empire ended the slave trade in the region. To the credit, the review of the New Yorker calls out the historical error. If the scriptwriters had wanted The Woman King, could have been a moral epic about swordplay and statecraft, the reviewer writes, but The Woman King chooses to make resistance to slavery its moral compass, then misrepresents a kingdom that trafficked tens of thousands as a vanguard in the struggle against it. The Wall Street Journal also notes the inaccuracy of the central problem with this movie. Call it #Me Too, Black Panther. This is in reality, Dahomey notoriously built its wealth on capturing local people and selling them into slavery, the reviewer writes. Characters in The Woman King blame enslavement in Dahomey as the economic meddling of white traders, although it was well established in West Africa before the Europeans got involved, fucking obviously. Historical inaccuracy never troubled Hollywood before, but so why should it Why shouldn't the ladies help themselves to some of it? Fair question, but there are a difference between stretching the truth, presenting the opposite of it. Yeah, it's called just fucking blatant lying. Despite these critical assessments, most reviews praise the film for being powerful and ferocious. Peter Travers, the ABC, wrote that it reminds us how truly inspiring it is to see these brave sisters doing it for themselves. The Woman King is currently playing in theaters. That's fucking hysterical. There's a million other people they could have. They want a strong female character. They want a strong. What about those Russian women pilots in World War II? They were raining death down upon the Germans in World War II, and they were fierceless fucking female soldiers. They could have done something about that, but no. They're going one big female, fucking strong female cast they could find, story they could find, sorry. They go and grab that and stretch it so far that now it's about black empowerment and them abolishing slave trade, even though they were slave traders and it was the complete opposite in real life. So I won't be surprised if you see a lot more about this movie as it comes out and a lot more talk about it. And there'll be that thing, same shit with like Black Panther and that. They'll be like, oh, this is a black people movie. White people aren't allowed to come watch it. Remember that woman saying that go and buy a ticket and then sit outside and protect the black people inside the cinema. What the fuck are you... The audacity of some people astounds me, but this is Hollywood now. It's woke everything. Woke Ariel, woke Lord of the Rings, woke... what's the other one? Game of Thrones. That's all it is. And then you've got places like Daily Wire, actually, these guys. There you go. The only ones making unwoke content. It's insane. They just go and completely lie about it to the point where they're doing the exact opposite of what it was like in real life. They may as well have just made this tribe of women, men, white men, and then they could have been the slave traders then. That would have kind of ticked a couple of their boxes. But when the movie comes out, might give it a miss, eh? Yeah. I'll prefer to like historical dramas, realistic ones, not just like female version of Wakanda. Yeah, no thanks. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.